I hated playing tank before, but this has actually made me a little bit more interested in it. Before all of our farming begins, before our Greater Rift 150 farming begins, I need to show you guys something. It's a semi-work in progress because we have not, like, augmented everything. I do, however, believe this could be pretty nutty. This build is a Whirlwind tank build. It's the most face roll, most powerful, easiest tank build that I've played. Because I love playing Frenzy, but Frenzy, the weakness of Frenzy is it's not very good in party play. But what this build allows you to do is play a tank that's not as focused on, like, using spear to grip targets in. So it is potentially, like, a little bit, it's a little bit worse at grouping monsters, but it is insane for just general tankiness. Like, this build is immortal, it's face roll, but it's also effective. And it's like maxed out on utility for your own self. It's kind of wild. So what this is it's a Whirlwind tank, you know, support ZDPS barb or ZBarb. And once again, this isn't even optimized. Like, I don't have augments on my gear, most of it. I just kind of threw some stuff in, man. Just kind of threw some stuff on, and it works. Now, I have some good items. I have some items that are primal, because I've been playing a lot, but doesn't require primal items. I'll show you some gameplay tonight, because we're going to group up for 150s and just farm them. But there's some variations to the build. I think the most important part of it is I'm playing two-piece Frenzy set, and I'm playing a two-piece Canes set. This is just for more experience. And I really haven't put a lot of work into, like, finding, like, the best stuff, but I think as long as you have two-piece Frenzy set to double the effectiveness of your shouts, you're pretty much good. I'm playing with the Volcathos 2 set for increased Fury generation and Whirlwind, making you run fast and attack fast. So those are the three sets that I have on, right? I have the Frenzy set, I have the Canes set. This is just for XP. You could do something else. Like, if you wanted to play Charge, you could and play Raycors, but I'm telling you, man, you don't need Charge. You go real fast with this build. So the tankiness ends up coming from some uniques, where you have Band of Might. I made this one primal, and I am this close to rolling that crit chance into something else that's good for tanking, but I haven't done it yet because I might use this ring at some point for some other build. Once again, the stats don't really matter. I'm plenty tanky with the way it is. It's just like I also don't need a crit. This thing is unkillable. Some of the utility that you do need for being a support barb is you need strong arm bracers, where the enemies hit by knockback suffer increased damage. That's important for your team. Another big thing that you need, once again, is the Frenzy build, so that whenever you use your Threatening Shout and you cause the enemies to falter, which is a talent you can take in that skill, they'll take 50% more damage, which is kind of crazy. I think Pride of Cassius is excellent. It increases the duration of Ignore Pain by 6 seconds, so that you have 100% Ignore Pain uptime. Because one of the main things you're doing as ZBarb is you're pulling and grouping mobs, you're providing your team with defensive benefits for More Cry and Ignore Pain, and you're debuffing monsters. And I think this build does like the defense just as well. It does the debuffing like the best, I think, and it does the grouping pretty good. But it's really fast and fun, and it's like way less annoying to play the tank build. I was playing like Spear, and I was just like, it just doesn't flow. It's not smooth, and so I don't know. It's weird. But also, I do have Esoteric Alteration in there. I don't even know if I need this anymore because I'm so tanky, but it is nice. I don't think I've ever dropped below 50% life in this build ever, so I might not need this. But I'm also playing the Gogok of Swiftness, so I can run faster and get CDR. Just give me a second. We're gonna go over this build, and then we'll hop in the 150s. But then we've got, this is just for fun too. We got Leoric's Crown to just give extra experience along with Canes. And then this amulet is terrible in terms of its actual rolls, but it doesn't matter because the build is insane no matter what. But you do want pylon effects last twice as long, which emanates for everybody. So, and then I have the Aquila Curious, which is while above a certain % primary resource, all damage is reduced by 50%. You are always maxed out on resource as this because you're just frenzy barb or just whirlwind barbing all over the place. So you have infinite resource anyway. So those are the and I'm using the Oculus ring because this gives you this gives like a little circle of damage for your teammates to stand in, and they do up to 85% increased damage, which is a maxed out roll that we have on this one. So my gear, once again, it's not augmented. Most of it's not even, well, not most of it, but a lot of it's not even ancient. Some of it's primal because we found some insane stuff. But I guess like what I'm prioritizing here is tanky stuff, which is like, you know, all resist. I think attack speed is good for life on hit is good. I think that CDR is really important because it allows you to have your ignore pain up more often. But none of this stuff should be that hard to find. And I am gemming diamonds, and then I'm gemming purple life on hit here. But all this should be pretty easy to find. It doesn't have to be really much of anything, honestly. It doesn't have to be like set. Like once again, it's not augmented. I think eventually you want to augment for like intelligence for all resist. Speaking of which, here are my stats, just to have a look at them. You don't want any area damage because that can cause lag, but I do want attack speed, and I do want cooldown reduction, which I think I would actually like to have more cooldown reduction. But I could roll some stuff for that. Like I could roll this to be cooldown reduction. The thing is, with your cubed item, you're constantly spending Fury, and in the cube you have an Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac, which reduces the remaining cooldown of one of your skills by 1 second when you hit it with a resource spending attack, which is Whirlwind, and you're always hitting everything with Whirlwind. And these are only the things that are ever on cooldown anyway, so these are always coming back up off of cooldown. I also have the Stone Gauntlets, which is giving me like Giga Armor with no penalty of movement speed because you're immune to CC thanks to the altar. And then I have Ambo's Pride in here. If you don't have an Execute on your team, like a Necromancer, then you should play the Executioner. You can also play the Reaver if you wanted to have cooldown reduction even further. Like if your CDR isn't that good. Those are the ones I play. There's more stuff you could play probably. But Executioner is good. Or Ambos is good. Now if you don't play Ambos, you will need to manually rend, but you probably only need to rend like big mobs and big packs. But in terms of your skills for this, I'm playing Rend. Once again, it's not supposed to deal damage, but what it does is you play Mutilate, which makes enemies get chilled and take 10% increased damage from all sources. So that's a big one. Then I'm playing Whirlwind with Hurricane, which will pull enemies into you, and most of my movement is on right click, and that's kind of smooth for me. You just run around and whirlwind people, and it does grip them in a little bit. But the big grip is going to come from Stomp with Wrenching Smash. You stomp and it pulls everything together, which is nice for pulling. You definitely need Ignore Pain Mob Rule so that your teammates also get the effect of Ignore Pain, and that should last longer on them with your belt. Falter is really important because this is one of your big debuffs that you're putting on people. So it already makes them take 20% more damage, and then there's going to be an extra 25% extra damage on top of that, and you're going to be spamming this. So every 6 seconds, they should be getting the full debuff if you're spamming it. Warcry is also a big buff for your teammates. You're using Veteran's Warning, which increases dodge chance for you, I believe, but I think for your whole team, I don't know if they get the whole dodge chance, but they do get a bunch of extra armor. And I don't know if if anything else really affects your teammates. But that's fine. Resist all could be good too, but I go for the dodge is fine. But yeah, all resist could also be excellent. I don't know if I'm really ever taking hits, but 60% dodge or 40% double, or 40% resist all is also a fine option. Remember that all your shouts are doubled, so there's this too. That's even in the case with Falter. It's actually an extra 50% damage, and they're doing 40% more damage. So whenever you look at these shouts, remember that they're being doubled. For this, I'm using Inspiring Presence so that everything lasts longer, and everybody regens life. Nerves of Steel is a cheat death. I've never dropped below 100% health as this build, so I don't even know if I need this anymore. I could take something else that, you know, gives me some other kind of defenses, maybe like armor and thorns or something like that, because we already have a million things. But it is kind of nice to not ever have to worry about like just getting one shot. But I don't think I've ever taken any damage with this build, so I might not need that. I'm taking Superstition to reduce all non-physical damage. I'm taking Relentless so that things like when I drop low health, you know, Life for Fury spends doubled, so Blade Storming around, Whirlwinding around saves me. But yeah, this is like, I'm gonna show you some gameplay because this build is nuts. And once again, we're gonna be running 150s tonight, so I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to show you. We got the cube build going. We got the gear. Oh, Paragon. So usually I take like 1,000 vitality and then everything else into strength for more armor. I think with this build we do want movement speed. We don't want maximum fury really, but we'll do vitality. I noticed I didn't take movement speed there. We want movement speed still. So we'll do this. Offense, you can max everything out. Defense, you can max everything out. Utility, you want to take out area damage to avoid lag, because you don't do any damage, and area damage can contribute to lag on big pulls, so you just take that out of your build. Don't have any area damage on your build. And then you can take all this stuff too. And that should be fine. But yeah, this build is super easy to put together. Once again, these items are not hard to find. You just gotta run stuff. It doesn't need to be primal. It's probably maybe better stats if it's primal, but I swear I haven't taken any damage running this build. It's so face roll and it's so fun. I hated playing tank before, but this has actually made me a little bit more interested in it. That's the basic layout of the build, and we'll get our group going and run some 150s tonight and show you some gameplay, so stay tuned. Okay, so we've assembled the team. We got a good amount of keys to run tonight. Got some farming to do. You guys ready to? Oh, actually, we gotta get in our home, dude. We gotta go get Tristram. All right. Let me show you all a little something about this build. All right. Like I said, this thing is like the most face roll, the easiest, and the best build that I've played, and the most fun. Now, keep in mind that we achieve all this like giga tankiness while just using like straight up utility gear. Like, we're using the cane set just to get 50% more experience, and we're using the helmet, so we're getting like 9% more experience. So that's pretty juicy when you're running 150s. It's pretty nice. So we're gonna. So the one thing that I was thinking is with the cheat death mechanic, that's kind of nice to avoid lag. So the gameplay is pretty much just running around, and once you get rolling, just stomping fools. You kind of run around, look for like rares, look for good facts. This is kind of like one of the least favorable riffs for what we're doing here, but it's fine. So keep your ignore pain rolling, get your war cry up, find some blues, find some elites, and just stomp on them. And since I'm not playing ambos, I do have to manually rend, but you don't have to really rend that often. Just stand there every once in a while, just hit him with a rend. My ignore pain is not 0% uptime or 0% downtime right there, but we'll get there. Once we get our once we get our like CDR potion, then we should, you know, be pretty good. But you'll see my cooldowns come back up pretty quick. And we don't play charge with this build because you have plenty of mobility without charge. But what's nice about that, and we don't play spear because I find spear to be annoying. What's nice though is we continue to run fast with Whirlwind, and we can continue to have our Band of Might be super good uptime because we, you know, get the Band of Might effect from Stomp. Very nice. Only 5% XP bonus, right? But you have 5% XP bonus from canes, and then you have like the 4% bonus from your gem in your helmet. So pretty nice. But once again, you're not really sacrificing any power that matters at all by putting that XP on your build. Like, right, some people might have to like sacrifice, like, ooh, I want XP, but I'm gonna be real squishy now. It's like, nah. Like, we're good. We're good. Now, I was doing some theory crafting with like with this build before, and you could use like Set of the Wastes, like 4 set, to get 50% damage reduction, like while whirlwinding and for a couple seconds after whirlwinding. I think these things are all just dinky mobs. But I was like, I don't really take any damage, so I'll just put on canes, and then you can use the Aquila Curious for a ton of damage reduction on top of that, right? So I'm always maxed out on resource, even if I'm constantly spamming my stuff. So we're getting 50% damage reduction right there. Like, sheet toughness right now is 44 billion occasionally. So, you know, like, we're doing pretty good. And the only thing that I feel like would actually hurt us maybe would be elemental damage. So if I wanted to change my Warcry talent, I could. But this has been super nice. I was playing Frenzy, and I still will play Frenzy for a solo push because I like it. but I realized that Frenzy was kind of like trolling my team. Like, you don't really bring much to the table. You're kind of like a good elite killer, sort of. Kind of like a good boss killer, but I don't know. And so, but ZBarb is like super in demand. Having a Barbarian that gives your whole team big buffs and debuffs enemies is very much in demand. And groups enemies, all that's good. So I started playing like the normal ZBarb build with like charge, stomp, ignore pain, war cry, you know, whatever this thing is, threatening shout, and spear. And I was just like, I didn't like it. Going from how smooth Frenzy was to like right click to move and attack and be so tanky with the set bonuses and stuff, and having like super good like life recovery from dealing damage and from just attacking, it felt so good to do that, and then so bad to switch off of it. And I was like, man, I gotta figure something out. So I was theory crafting some Frenzy stuff with being a tank, and then we're like, somebody in the chat was like, yo, why don't you play Whirlwind? And I was like, oh man, I'm playing a tank, so that's actually what wasn't trying to do that. He's like, oh, okay, gotcha. It's like, he thought he was just suggesting I play Whirlwind just to like play Whirlwind, because that's a build that he liked. But then I was like, wait a minute, why don't I play Whirlwind? Because you can AoE, like, pull things in, which doesn't DR. Usually, like, your charge and your spear and your stomp, like, pull in, DR with each other. But the Whirlwind pull does not DR. Like, I can stomp once stop cooldown, I can stomp again, and I can stomp again, and then there'll be DR'd up 3 stomps, but not before then. And so I was like, oh, I don't even need charge anymore, because I can just Blade Storm all over the place, Whirlwind all over the place. And then it's like, we also get the benefit of, it's actually even more debuffing than normal ZBarb, because normal ZBarb doesn't have the 10% extra damage from Ren. So I think the weakness compared to normal ZBarb is you don't group mobs quite as well. And you don't die to the little Blade Stormy guys either, which I died to those guys all the time as Frenzy. So yeah, you don't group mobs quite as well because you don't have the spear to just yoink people in. But what you do have is a way more fun, fluid playstyle that, to me, I strongly prefer, and I feel tankier with this. Because with other builds, like, I have to spam Ancient Spear to get life on hit to survive, which also can mess with your pulls and your DRs, and you can eventually, like, accidentally pull, like, mobs out of the area they're supposed to be in. But with this build, you just kind of Blade Storm around them, just press Stomp and ignore pain, and beat the heck out of them, and while all, like, not taking any damage at all. Like, this is as heavy damage as the game gets. Maybe you take more damage from, like, poison meteors in, like, a echoing nightmare or whatever they're called, right? At level, like, 150. But this is a greater Rift 150. We have a strong team, but, like, I thought I saw my health dip for, like, 1 second in the very beginning of the Rift, before we had all the juices flowing. Then once we got in there, we're just good to go. So you're just Blade Storming around, ignore pain, threatening shout, stomp, periodically hitting a rend on the target to give them an extra 10% damage. And then when they drop down to 10% health, you just execute them instantly. Dead. There we go. Crush that Rift. And what was I doing? Blade Storming around while walking in a treadmill, just talking the whole time, not paying any attention to what I'm doing. Like, this is not a build that I have seen anybody mention in a video or in an article or anything when I was looking up ZBarb stuff for Diablo 3 this season. So if you guys are like me and you want to have the ability to play some team utility on your Barbarian to help you farm Paragons the best, or just, like, you know, be useful to your friends, but you hated running around and, like, stutter stepping with spear and then trying to charge but not DR your stomp, and but then you're dying because you're not getting any source of, like, life steal or, like, a life regen or whatever like that, and you had to get the right gear, had, like, augment for intelligence, and just, like, turn in your warrior card for that kind of thing. Like, here you go. Just, you don't need any gear. you don't need to do really much of anything. Just, I mean, like, I'm literally like an old man in his underpants, just, like, yelling at my teammates and yelling at the mobs to get off my lawn, all while being completely immortal, like, grouping the dungeon and debuffing them, and keep making all my teammates immortal too. Like, this is the build, guys. This is the freaking build. This is the one. So, give it a try. See if you like it. Let me know. and I'm gonna keep on cranking out some 150s on stream with the boys tonight, and we'll see if we can get 2700 tonight and push some more riffs as Frenzy. But this is like literally the dream. Yeah, I'm just walking on a treadmill, spinning around, yelling at the whippersnappers, and yelling at my teammates, and yelling at the demons, and just beating them up, man. It's awesome. It's an awesome build. So I definitely wanted to share it with the homies here on stream and share it with you guys on you know, as like a guide format in like YouTube and stuff as well, because we kind of, you know, we encountered a problem and we theory crafted it out and found something that's super fun and crazy effective. So I don't know if it gets much better than this, but we're gonna keep hammering these riffs and enjoying it, that's for sure. So if you guys enjoy the content, like I said, stick around, plenty more on the way. Let's get to work.